Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. Kara Corey here, and today we are going to discuss another true story. This is another sad one. However, this one is something that I think is really important to discuss because I want to know what lengths you all would go to lose weight. I think that's a really important question. I want you to comment down below if I promised you a magic pill that would guarantee you'd lose weight without essentially having to put in any effort. Would you take it? Today's story is about a young girl, Eloise Perry. She was a 21-year-old college student, which, by the way, I'm baking some cookies right now. Merry Christmas to those of you that celebrate Christmas. We're gonna try doing some gingerbread cookies while I share with you guys this story. So getting back to it, Eloise Perry, she was a 21-year-old girl, and her family called her Ella, so for purposes of this video, I'm gonna also refer to her as Ella. Ella, young girl, smart girl, she was in college. I'm making a mess in 2 seconds. So Eloise was in college in Shrewsbury? I don't know if I'm saying that right. It's in Western England, apparently. So she was in college, smart girl, studying child and family studies, I believe. She definitely had some mental health struggles by the looks of it, and I couldn't really find out to what degree her mother really knew about her mental health struggles. So looking through Ella's Twitter account, you could tell like she had some mental health issues. I'm not sure to what degree, like if she was hospitalized or not at some points related to it. She also struggled with bulimia, which oftentimes eating disorders it's more than just food, it's more than just about your body. It's typically mental health. There's a bigger component there when someone's struggling to that degree. Mental health is a big part of recovery if you're gonna get into recovery. But just looking over Ella's Twitter, it was actually like really sad. It was also evident that she had issues with body and self-image. She even had a post that I found that mentioned something about like laxative abuse and that she was happy there was like attention being brought to laxative abuse. So you could tell she had some definite things there going on, you know, using hashtags for suicide, stuff like that. So definitely Ella was struggling with some things. Her family would mention that they knew she struggled with bulimia, and she always was just kind of striving to be smaller and skinnier. It did appear though like they didn't really know the extent she was struggling. And I do want to say like, I'm not criticizing her parents whatsoever, because I feel like sometimes you only know what your kids tell you, right? And oftentimes there may not be signs with how bad your kids are struggling. You just don't always know. The Twitter account though definitely had some red flags to what was going on with her. I feel like this dough is not going to be dough. Am I missing an ingredient? Ella's mom also mentioned, in addition to her having bulimia, that she knew her daughter was taking prescription medication of some sort, but I guess she didn't know exactly what she was taking, which it turns out it was not prescription medication, which leads us to the morning of April 12th, 2015. It's about 4 a.m. in the morning, very early. Ella wakes up at 4 a.m. and she's like, I'm gonna take 4 of my pills. You know, it's 4 a.m., let's get these pills going in me. Takes her 4 pills, heads back to bed. She wakes up later on and decides she's gonna take 4 more of her pills, or what her mom maybe thinks is her medication. Although she's not living with her mom at the time, but this is what her mom thinks, that her daughter's just simply taken some medication. So at this point, Ella has taken 8 of her magical pills. After which, when she took that second 4, she started vomiting. Ella was like, red flags are popping up. She knows something's not right, so she decides to text one of her lecturers. The text stated, I've screwed up big time. I think I'm gonna die. So immediately, Ella's response was concern that she was gonna die. Her mom later states she did not think that her daughter was suicidal at all, and based on everything I'm seeing, it doesn't appear like this was a suicide attempt. She also then stated that no one is known to survive if they vomit after taking DNP. I am so scared. So it sounds like Ella definitely had some awareness of what she was taking and what the consequences could be. And that is of DMP, the substance she was taking in effort to assist her in her weight loss goals. So let's talk about what Ella was taking, because this was actually something newer to me. If you start looking online, sadly, there's a lot of cases related back to DMP, which is short for dinotropinol. I'm not sure if I'm saying it perfectly, but DMP is what it's commonly referred to. DMP became available back in 1933, and it was known for its weight loss abilities. So it was actually sold on the market from 1933 up until 1938, which I guess it took them about 5 years to figure out how poisonous it was. It'd be kind of interesting to know, like, how many people had to die during that time while they figured that shit out. So it was on the market for 5 years. Clearly, it's a substance that's been around for a long time. It is a chemical substance, and it is not intended for human use now. When you look into it, humans should not be consuming it. DMP is an ingredient that's often used in making things like pesticides, explosives, and dyes. Things like that, you know, when I think about it, that's probably not something I want to put in my body. That is a sticky little lady. So even though DMP was pulled off the market for use for weight loss, it's still available for the reasons that I just mentioned. It's something that the FDA has never approved, and it is still something that's allowed. You're allowed to possess it, essentially, but it's illegal to sell it to someone, especially for purposes of weight loss. However, as we know, 2021, that don't matter. If there's a will, there's a way. People will sell it, people will find a way, especially when it comes to weight loss. And I gotta say, it's kind of crazy what people are willing to do when it comes to losing weight, and like what lengths people are willing to go. The way DMP works is essentially through a very scientific term called mitochondrial oxidative phosphorylation. So what essentially occurs when you consume DMP is your body's cells have mitochondria in it, which those guys, mitochondria, we love them. They're the little fuel, little powerhouse for our cells to help us burn energy. When we take DMP, that process actually slows down. Our mitochondria do not process as much energy. Your mitochondria essentially become less efficient, which in turn makes your body actually burn more calories. So the energy from the extra calories turns into heat, which is then released within your body. So I really hate to use this term, but sadly it's true, and it's what I read with everything referencing. For those that have died from DMP overdose, you essentially cook yourself from the inside out. So your body temperature essentially gets so high, instead of being in a state of hypothermia, you're in a state of hyperthermia. Your kidneys shut down, bodily functions shut down, and there's essentially no type of fix for it if you take too much of it. So it's a very fine line between taking some and then taking the dose that's gonna kill you. I feel like a lot of people may still wanna take it when I say this. I wanna make sure folks understand, like, this can kill you. This is not for human consumption. This is something that, yes, will produce weight loss, but literally there are so many other ways to lose weight other than taking a pill that can and likely will kill you. I'm not sure if you're understanding this, the severity of it. And I think, you know, it's easy for me to say this right here and now, but someone who's a young, impressionable girl in college, oh my goodness, do you remember how rough it was, like being 21 years old, trying to figure out your life? You know, when you're 21, you feel like you're supposed to have your whole life figured out. It's very common to deal with self-esteem issues, and this girl was dealing with bulimia already. So her family noticed she was losing weight, but they always knew, I guess, that she struggled with bulimia, that she was a little bit more obsessive with her food intake. They knew she was taking medications, but they didn't know she was taking this. I don't know if they really knew she was taking like a diet pill, which is how DMP can be marketed. So I want to share with you too, a little screen grab I found for the different terms that you may see DMP listed as an ingredient. This can be masked in multiple different ways or different terms. You may not see DMP or written out as dinitrophenol. So just be aware of that. Again, the FDA has not regulated this, which we know with supplements, they don't have to regulate them, but there are times where the FDA gets involved when there's too many cases of people dying or bad things happening, and they may pull it off the market. So you would think, how could something like this still be sold and available in today's day and age? But I mean, let's be honest, there's a lot of illegal shit that's still sold that you can buy, right? Some of it's good and maybe shouldn't be illegal, and some of it's not good and can kill you. If someone is found to be selling it to someone in the form of diet pills, I mean, you're not supposed to sell it. You could be heavy fines, go to jail. I mean, but let's be honest, this could kill someone, all right? But this actually, when you start looking into it, has been heavily marketed towards the bodybuilding world, which is what kind of interested me, because this is something, even though you guys may know I was in the bodybuilding world for a long time, I didn't really know about it. And honestly, I'm glad I didn't. I never got roped into going to that length. I always knew, for me personally, as much as I wanted to win, it was never that important for me to do it in an unnatural way. That was just my take on it. And it's not to say that I guess you can not be natural and do it in a healthy way and be monitored, but something like DMP for quick weight loss, like I could see where this could definitely appeal to bodybuilders as well as those struggling with eating disorders, right? 10 out of 10 recommend the gingerbread protein. We're gonna throw that in there. So super duper dangerous stuff, but obviously I see the appeal of it. Me personally, not worth the risk. But there is ongoing investigations for the sale of it. Definitely something to be considerate about for those of you who are taking supplements. I'm not saying your supplements or your protein powders are laced with DMP, but I think this is just a good time to be more mindful of what you're putting into your body and why. Is it really necessary? Being more, just proactive with researching things on your own, what the ingredients are, versus just taking your favorite Fitspo's word from it. Make sure you do your own research when it comes to this stuff. So let's go back to that morning. Remember, I said she texted her lecturer saying she was worried, like she knew she was gonna die. Emma had started throwing up, which is a common side effect when you've taken more than, I don't even wanna say the recommended dose, because no one should be taking it, so why is there a recommended dose? Essentially, from what I could find, and I don't know what doses she was taking, I just knew she took 8 pills that day, a total of 8 pills, and you're not supposed to take more than 2. You shouldn't take any though, right? I said they're not for human consumption, so that's a little confusing to me, but she seemed to be aware, almost like she knew what the risks were, right? Like she knew she was throwing up, nauseous, not feeling right, and said she felt like she was gonna die, and she was so sorry that she did this. So it leads me to believe she knew she was taking DMP maybe, and had done her research into it. I don't know, I guess we'll never know, but that morning, after she felt that way and texted her friend, she did drive herself to the hospital. She drove herself to the local hospital. And basically when she got there, the most that they could do is just try to stabilize her, but essentially when you've taken too much, there's nothing they can do. Sadly, Ella did pass away that morning. 21 years old, young girl. It's such a sad story to think about. And as I mentioned, her mother, feels very passionate about this topic now. Her mother's tried to do a bit more with kind of notifying people to beware of diet pills and what you're taking, and just being aware of what you're buying online and what the potential consequences are. Fiona, Ella's mother, did say she felt like that Ella probably did know what she was taking, knew the risk, and that to her, the risk just kind of, the benefit of being skinny outweighed the risk of possibly dying. It's crazy to me. Now, remember at the beginning when I said I was kind of going through Ella's Twitter account, and it did seem like she, like I said, had a lot of mental health issues. After the passing of Ella, her mom did say, she really felt like this wasn't a suicide attempt, more so it was just her willingness. That was the length that she was willing to go to be skinny. Eating disorders and mental health, there's a lot to unpack there for why this occurred with her, and what happened and what put her at risk of taking something like this. But I do think just that lust of it being kind of a magic pill almost really can make anyone susceptible to it if you're not careful. But I've noticed when it comes to eating disorders, body dysmorphia, I don't know why, but I feel like I see a lot come out of UK. Like the BBC network, I've seen so many different things with reports on men and women. I'd like to look into some stats on that, like if there's a higher percentage of eating disorders in the UK for men versus the US. This is definitely just like coming off the cuff. There's no facts to this. I'm just saying what I've kind of seen, because when I was researching this, a lot of other articles were coming up on those dying from DMP. And there was a few other ones out of UK. So I don't know what the correlation is. Was it more available there? Maybe, I don't know, but I'm just curious if you guys have noticed that at all. Definitely something I'll take a look at a little bit more in terms of UK and what their stats are comparative to US. Oh, this is the skinniest little gingerbread man I've ever seen. I wonder if he's on DMP, I don't know. I also kind of wonder looking back, and like I said, looking through her Twitter, I always feel a little bit creepy reading someone's Twitter after I know they've passed away. Like it's always like a little bit eerie. I don't know if you guys have done that before or not, but where are my true crime lovers at? I know once you get kind of like involved in it, you start like trying to do your own research and be your own detective, and it feels a little off. But you know, looking at her Twitter account, it definitely seemed like she did have a lot of cries for help there, and I just don't know to what extent, if this could have been prevented. You know, did she have a good support system? Did her friends and family kind of understand what was going on? Because as I understood, she had lost quite a bit of weight over a period of time. She went from, I think they said maybe like a size 10 or something in the UK down to a size 6, which UK sizes are different than US. She was very tiny. And I just kind of wonder, did she have anyone there asking her how she was doing and if she needed help? And you know, I don't know if it would have made a difference or not, but I like to say that, you know, just working in mental health myself, sometimes I feel like we just don't take enough time to talk to people who seem like they're struggling. And I think that's really important. That's something I've always been passionate about with the psych patients I work with, is just always making sure I'm having conversations with them about how their day is going and how they're feeling. It doesn't mean it would make a difference, but I just wanted to throw that out there. And I kind of wonder what your guys' thoughts are on this. If you want to comment them below, you know, what you think about this case. Have you heard about this, and have you heard about the use of DMP? These came out super cute and tasty. I will have all the ingredients, the recipe down in the description box below if you guys want to try these out. And if you're liking these types of videos, please be sure to hit that thumbs up button, as well as make sure you are subscribed to the channel so you don't miss any upcoming true crime, nutrition, horror stories. Well, let's get into the bottom line on this case before we wrap this up. The quote unquote recommended dose, something like this that isn't for human consumption, that the FDA doesn't regulate, there really is no recommended dose. And you also don't know dosage, what else could be in the product, how you as an individual are going to metabolize something. Someone like myself could metabolize something very differently than another person. We're all very different. It's kind of like caffeine, right? We all have a different tolerance and sensitivity. So the same is very true when it comes to these magic weight loss pills. So I feel like just the bottom line here is don't get roped into magic weight loss pills or any of that nonsense, because at the end of the day, the only thing that truly does really work is for someone to put in their efforts towards making changes to their diet, exercising, and doing it over a long period of time. Now, obviously, Ella had her own separate issues she was dealing with, unfortunately, that led her to her passing in the unfortunate overdose with taking DMP. But thought, let this be a warning to you to be very careful with what you're consuming and why. And really question, is it worth it? Like, I know I brought this up before, but I remember a study I read, people were polled if they'd be willing to give up years of their life if it meant they never had to worry about their weight anymore and could be skinny. And people were willing to like shave 20 years off their life just to be what they felt is skinny. And I just think it's crazy, right? But it also isn't crazy. It's kind of normal if you think about it in the levels that people go to lose weight. So I think this message comes at a good time as we are about to head into Christmas and a new year. You know, the fad diets and all the crazy trends start popping up all over the place, and it can be hard to kind of weed through the nonsense and focus on the best way to focus on yourself and your health. I will have an upcoming video on that, reviewing the worst diet trends of 2021, the trends that should die and stay in 2021. That will be coming up soon. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I know it's another sad story, but I think it's a really important topic to discuss. So if you guys did enjoy it, be sure to do all the things. Even feel free to share this on your socials if you want someone else to check it out. And I will see you guys in the next one.